Cecily MacArthur and we're just delighted that you've joined us again from all around the world. And there are a couple of quick housekeeping notes we'd like to share, and those include that we will be working to keep our interview to an hour. You will be muted for the call, but there will be a great opportunity to ask questions at the end, always a favorite part of our audience and our listeners. And you will be sent a replay link today of today's rich content interview. And finally, Cecily and I, because we kind of went to divine guidance today, we sent all of you a special summer solstice greeting, and we have reduced the price of our extreme upgrade package from $67 to $47 for these 10 calls and our amazing bonus gifts just for today, just in honor of the summer solstice until midnight tonight. So if this has been on your heart and you've been waiting, here's a special gift. Again, I'm Lori Raymond. I am the founder of Women as Visionaries, and our purpose is to help women reinvent themselves and uncover and discover their dreams through global events like this, education, and travel. And it was my extreme pleasure to meet our speaker. And I'll never forget the day. It was July 13th, 2008. She posed a question, which she may pose today, which was basically, what is your dream? And I answered it and was able to claim that and express that. And that was that I was traveling the world and helping women and children and taking what I called Ziplocs of love, which turned out to be large pieces of luggage. And since then, because of this speaker's just inspiration, motivation, and tools, and the way that she moves you from where you are into something else, I have been taking women to places like Bali and Peru. And Cecily?
Well, I've definitely met Mary because Mary is one of my teachers, or is someone who's very special in my life. And it was almost to the date 2 years ago that I heard Mary for the first time on a telesummit, the first telesummit I was ever on. I didn't know what these were. And I heard her speak, and it was as if she spoke directly to me. I was like, wow, who is this person? I love this person. And I got off the call. I went onto her website, and on the website there is a little button in the right-hand corner that says, do you want to teach what Mary teaches? And I got a huge confirmation from the universe on that, and I went to just clicked that button, signed up to be a life mastery consultant without a single doubt. I knew in every fiber of my body that that was what I needed to do in that moment. So following my intuition and my guide and knowing that that was something that I wanted, and having that through the law of attraction come to me and follow that through. 2 years later, here we are. So amazing.
Well, it's a great story. So, and in that knowing of just your truth, Cecily and I, who partnered on the Spring Angel Telesummit, we really wanted to expand and to share some additional level of life-changing information. And so we reached out to some really world experts, what we're calling expert guides, and we wanted to offer you the best of the best tools and strategies. And so the Extreme Law of Attraction Telesummit was born. And we are clear with our intentions. And so if you just take a breath and you just take these words in and support us in this intention, which is with the support of the universe, our expert guides, and our extraordinary listeners, Cecily and I are open and willing to allow for the important life-changing and life-affirming messages of this telesummit to serve 5,001 plus listeners across the globe for everyone's highest good. And so if you just breathe that in, and we thank you in advance for holding that intention. And so we want to move with energy into our next part, and so it is a joy to introduce to you Mary Morrissey. She's going to be sharing with us 3 simple secrets to discovering and living your dreams. And she brings to this conversation 3 decades of information that have truly made her one of the world's leading teachers in the human potential movement. Not only has she spoken at the United Nations 3 times as the national co-chair for a season of nonviolence, She's also facilitated 3 different week-long meetings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Nelson Mandela. You can read her best-selling books, of which there are numerous, and she's also been featured in the motivational movies Beyond the Secret and The Moses Code. Again, we are just delighted to welcome Mary Morrissey to our Extreme Law of Attraction Telesummit. Welcome, welcome, Mary.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, great.
Oh, Mary, this is like I'm in a who knew place here. I just have to savor this moment that 2 years later I would actually be hosting a telesummit and you would be my guest. And this is just like, I have to take this in. This is so exciting for me. So
Didn't you say a dream come true, Cecily?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just have to say that. That's so sweet.
So speaking of dreams, Mary, let's get started to talk about a topic that is near and dear to you. So the themes come up several times in this telesummit around people not really knowing what their dreams are and not being in touch with them, or they just not being familiar with really wanting things in their life. So can you help us with some of the things that people can notice, signals that might help them connect to knowing what the direction of their dreams might be?
Well, thank you, Cecily. I just have to say, just hearing you and Lori share a bit of your journey, I am just so grateful that our paths crossed along the way. And that both of you were not just casually interested really in what this material could do for you. You were interested in discovering what your life could be. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to welcome all of you on this call today and just say if you will just keep a corner of your mind open to the possibility that the life that is seeking to live by means of you, the life that is calling you, has your name on it, is a life of freedom and fulfillment and difference-making, and a life that, just as Cecily's doing today, you pinch yourself going, I am really living a life I love living. You heard Lori talk about just 3 short years ago. I mean, she's already been all over the world. And so these are things that don't happen to people. These are things that happen with people when they make agreements with their own higher nature and with the possibilities that are moving through them, yearning through their heart and mind. And what happens for most of us is that our dreams get trained out of us. We're really good at dreaming when we're little kids, and we put on possible futures all day long, and we say, I'm going to be a singer, I'm going to be a dancer, I'll be an astronaut, I'll be a fireman. We walk around as if that's true for us, and we tell our parents or anyone who will listen, I'm going to be a fireman. They say, that's nice, honey. And we put it on for a while until we feel like, oh, that doesn't really quite fit. I don't want to be in fires all day long. Or I don't think I want to, propel myself through space and be an astronaut or spend years learning to dance. And then we say, I think I'll do this or I'll do that. But as we go to school, we get that trained out of us, and we start being told to stop daydreaming, to pay attention, to learn the facts. And we get really good at that. And as we get really good at that, we earn accolades, and we earn grades, and we earn degrees. And then we get into a life where we start letting ourselves live the life that we think is possible. What our education tells us we can do, what our training tells us we can do, what our bank account tells us we can do, when all the while the capacity for us to live a life we would really love to live is right within us. And all that's required is right where we are. So today, as we begin this time together, and I've done this work, as was mentioned, for 30 years now. I studied a decade before I ever started teaching it. I've continued to study all these years while I've been teaching it. I've worked with tens of thousands of people around the world, helping them both discover and deliver their particular dream. But you cannot make a dream come true unless you dream that dream. And the only person who can dream a dream for you is you. So it starts with some important questions. And the important question isn't what do I think I could do, or what, at my age, after all, or in this economy with everything that's going on, we have to ask ourselves some different questions. Number one, if money or education or time or age were not the decision makers for my life, what would I love to create? That's the right question. What would I love my life to be like? So you heard Lori say 3 years ago, she said, you know what I would love my life to be like? And there was nothing in her conditions that said she could do that. Cecily is poking around the internet. She comes upon, she goes, there's something speaking to me through this message. And she's, a whole world opens up for her. And that world is kept opening up for her. A dream cannot come true unless you dream that dream. So there are two signals coming to you right now, which really are informers to your conscious mind or your awareness of a life that is so much more expansive and fulfilling and free that you are meant to live. And those two signals are your longing and your discontent. So when you think about what you've been longing for, maybe you've longed for that love of your life, or you've longed for more money in the bank at the end of the month and bills, or you've longed for, I'd love to spend a summer in Europe, or I want to build schools in Africa, or I'll write that book, or I'll take groups to Bali, or whatever it is. The universe is bigger than any dream you can dream inside of it. But all the power in your car can't take you someplace when you get in that car unless you know where you want to end up, because you don't know how to harness the available power in that car in service of a destination you want to end up in. So that's how it starts. You pay attention to your longing and you pay attention to your discontent, because when you're feeling, I don't like this part of my life. I'm tired of being lonely. I'm tired of worrying about money. I feel like I'm in a dead-end job, or I can never make a decision I really want to make, or I'm always looking at my bank account for permission, or. Where's your longing? Where's your discontent? And if you were to dream a life, imagine it first. Start in your imagination. If you were living a life that you loved living, you were dynamically healthy, your relationships, you loved the relationships you were in. They were supportive and loving and caring, and there was mutuality and time that got shared, and shared values and shared activities, and you loved the relationships. You loved your relationship with yourself. You finally made peace with your body. You just finally went, you love being inside your own skin. Imagine a life where dynamically healthy, relationships you love living in and with, all things settled between you and every person, maybe not in the world, but in your mind. So it doesn't matter who passes down the street of your mind. When they do, you wish them well. And you're grateful for everything that's ever happened in your life because it helped you become you. And your work, what are you doing with your time and talent in your dream? You could do and be and go anything you want to be and do and go. What would you be doing? What would you be creating? How would you spend your time and talent? What would that, just imagine it. Even though part of you is going to say, how are you ever going to do that? For this exercise, you suspend the how long enough to get to a what, that when you get to it in your mind, you go, oh, I would love that. And then immediately the how, oh, my God, how are you ever going to do that? You have to just quiet the how for long enough to get a good picture of a what. I'll tell you how to deal with the how in a little while. But for now, you want to get a really great what. And it's dynamically healthy, your relationships, what you're doing with your time and talent, and your time and money freedom. You want to get a picture of that in your mind, just like you're building your dream house. You would spend time getting a really great blueprint. You would not go to a master builder in the city in which you live and say, build me a nice house, a happy house, a good house. That builder can't do that. Even the master builder of your city cannot build you a house that you think is great or good or will make you happy. You have to tell the builder, I want 3 bedrooms. I want 5. I want to be on a hill. I want to be by the river. I want to be on the ocean. You pick. Only you get to decide, and a dream cannot come true unless you dream that dream. First step is pay attention to your longing, your discontent. Out of that, weave an image, an imaginative image. I would love a life where, and then cover those 4 domains, your health, your relationships, what you're doing with your time and talent, or your work or your avocation, and your time and money freedom.
So make it sound so easy, Mary. I love that. It's great. But it is important to be able to listen to yourself and use your imagination and really think about what you love. And in those 4 domains, once people have that and they have that picture in their mind and they have decided what they want, the dream builder piece of it that you have developed is so powerful, and it has a set of 5-point test for your dream. Can you speak to that and tell us how you would now test your dream? Is it right for you?
Absolutely. So once you've said, okay, well, if I could create anything I want to create, then I would like this. And you get a picture of it in your mind, and you maybe even write it down, which will help clarify it, because one side of your brain, your imaginative center, it has to communicate with your logical center, so that occurs more readily if you actually write it down. So when you write down your dream and you say, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm living a life where I'm healthy, where my relationships are, I'm living here or there, I'm going and doing this, and this is what I do with my time and talent, and I have time and money freedom because I have X amount of income. It takes this many weeks a year off, and this is what I do with my leisure time, and you begin to build that image. One of my clients sort of vision last week where she wrote an ideal day inside her dream, and it had to do with waking up on the beach, and she and her sweetheart get out, and they get the sand between their toes, and they're walking. She did a beautiful job creating a very clear picture of the life and how she's on the phone with her clients in the afternoon, and how she goes out to her mailbox, and there's mailbox money, and it was a beautiful description of a life she wants to live. As much as Lori's traveling the world today, Lori hooked to that dream. Same thing with Cecily. That's why you're hearing these calls today, because she tuned into a dream and stayed true to it. It starts with getting the dream. Now, once you get the dream, just because you have a dream doesn't mean it's the best dream for you. And what happens for most of us, we get a dream that's bigger than the life we've been living, and then we ask the wrong question. And we ask the question, oh, would I deserve this dream? Do I really have what it takes? Completely wrong question. The right question is this dream deserving of me? And the reason you ask that question is because the truth is you are going to trade your life for whatever dream you invest in. You're going to trade the most precious commodity you have. That's your time. It's your life energy for whatever you decide to put your time and attention on. So you want to make sure that whatever you're heading towards, and make no mistake, you are going to create a life. If you keep breathing another 365 days, you don't get a choice about whether you create another year of your life. You only get a choice about whether you're going to create that year out of a design or out of default. You will either default to all the old thinking, all the old patterns, what other people are saying, what your history is telling you, what your bank account is saying, and you will live the old life you've lived one more round, or you'll make a decision. You'll hang out with Lori and Cecily. You'll get their programs. You'll listen to all the great teachers that they're bringing in. You'll start to make shifts in your life, and you'll create a dream. And then you'll ask this question. And these are 5 questions I want to give you now about how to test that dream and make sure that dream is worthy of you. Number 1, so imaginally move inside the dream. Do you feel more alive? Alive. Do you feel more alive? Do you feel more, yeah, I'd like that life. I mean, Lori did that. She imagined herself with Ziplocs, sending around, it turned out to be big suitcases, living a life where she's helping women through all these amazing adventures. Cecily goes, I want to empower people. I want to transform lives. I'm going to. So she's doing that. But it starts with imaginally stepping inside of it and saying, would I love doing this? You want to yes to that question, because the reason you do that, sometimes people get mistaken about a dream. And their mother always wanted them to finish college, and so they say at 52, my dream is I am going to finish college. And they step inside of it and say, does it give me life? It's like, well, kind of, but not really. And then they realize it wasn't their dream, it was their mother's dream. If it's your dream to finish college, when you step inside that dream, you're going to love it. You're there for the love of learning. You're expanding. You're going to go, your whole being is going to go, yes, when it's your dream, and you step inside of it and put it on and say, do I feel more alive? Your being will never lie to you. So number 1, does it give me life? You want a yes to that question. Number 2, does it align with my core values? There are 3 to 5 things that really matter most to you. They'll be different for each of us because as unique as our thumbprint, for some of you it's family. For some of you it may be travel. It may be all kinds of things. But the important thing is that it's whatever matters most to you. That's what as you lay down your life, what matters most to you, okay? Does this dream, this dream will never ask you to be disingenuous. A real dream will never ask you to be disingenuous or out of harmony with really what matters to you, like relationships with your kids. It will not ask you to be in any way disingenuous with your real values. Does it give me life? Does it align with my core values? Number 3, does it require that I grow? All of life is seeking growth, expansion. The Talmud has a line that says, every blade of grass is an angel that leans over it, whispering, grow, 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 every blade of grass. That little blade of grass will press through cement seeking the light because its life energy is seeking expansion. We're in an expanding, evolving universe. So there's that pull of becoming inside every one of us. So, of course, your real dream will demand that you grow in some ways, that you become more of who you're capable of becoming. You can bet that Lori is more today by means of following that dream 3 years down the path. Same thing for Cecily, down the path. They are more fully themselves because they said yes. Amidst all kinds of doubts and different things that would emerge and old stories about themselves, and they kept saying yes to the larger, the more expansive yes. Does it require that I grow? Yes. So back to the beginning, does it give me life? Does it align with my core values? Does it require that I grow? Number 4, do I need help from a higher power? Whether you call that higher power spirit or infinite intelligence or mind or God or Jesus or Buddha, it doesn't matter what name you give to what you can call upon that has more information, more awareness, more intelligence than your history, your logic, your information system, then yes, you want that. And part of the great thing about building a dream is not only do you get your dream, you get you. You get to discover that you are way more than you ever knew, and you contain far more than you ever thought. And a dream was the means not only by which you shaped and opened your life, but you opened you. So you want to ask it. And another way to ask the same question is, do I know every single thing I need to do to make this dream come true? And if I know every single thing I need to do to make this dream come true, then this dream is not a big enough dream. It might be a worthy goal, but it's not a dream by definition. It's something you would love that you don't know how to create. But you still love it. You would love that life. You would love to bring this forth. Number 5, is there some good in this dream for others? Now, while the universe is very interested in your expansion and your growth, it's interested not in just yours, but in all growth, in all life itself. It's everywhere present, this pull of becoming. So, and some of you think, well, gosh, my real dream is to have the love of my life. How is there some good in that for others? That may be a selfish dream. It's just about me. Not true. And you think about it. Any 2 people you know who really presents what real love looks like by their way of being, the way they treat each other and care for each other, you can see them in an airport, and there's a blessing by seeing how they love because it just exudes from them. So there's always good in a good dream, there's always good for others in it. And I can promise you this, it'll be way more good than you can see going into the dream, but you don't even want to start on a dream that there isn't some good in it for others. You want to grow a garden, there's either beauty in it for lots of people or there's food in it that'll be bigger than you can eat. So there's lots of good to be found. You just want to tap into some of it before you say yes to that dream and trust that there'll be way more than you can see heading in. So again, does it give me life? Does it align with my core values? It's going to require that I grow. Do I need help from a higher power? And is there some good in this dream for others?
I just love those questions. Every time you think of them, they really help you to take your dream to a whole other level. So people have decided for their dream, and they've written it down, and they've tested it with your 5-point test. Now they're going to try to move forward, and all kinds of fear and doubt and worry show up. What would you recommend? What are some strategies for moving through that and going towards your dream?
Well, first of all, you've got to know it's coming. It just is. If you think about it this way, there's a part of you that wants to go forward, and there's a part of you that's afraid. Not just once, all the time. Cecily said earlier, she says, Mary, you make it sound so easy. What I've found over the years is, honestly, it is so easy. What the other is what's so hard. Letting ourselves stay stuck and making agreements with conditions and letting our fear, we start entertaining our fear or our doubt and go, oh my gosh, this really could go bad. And then we start imagining what would happen if it really did go bad, or if we lost, or if we, and pretty soon, and it's like a virus that gets inside your computer. It just worms its way through your whole files. And the interesting thing about the mind is you've got the part of you that wants to go forward, the part of you, call it a paradigm, call it an old habit or an old way of being, but it's lived its old life. You go forward and live a new life. Cecily doesn't get to be the woman that she was 3 years ago. There's a part of the life that she lived that she's had to let go of in order to live a more expansive life. She doesn't get to tell those old stories about herself. Neither does Lori. Lori's no longer the woman who wants to do these things. She's the woman who's doing these things. That woman is a different woman. But was there some fear or doubt along the way? Of course. But she kept taking a step. She kept making agreements, so did Cecily, with the higher potential and taking steps. That's what this call's about. That's what this Telesummit is about, is them getting an idea, falling in love with that idea. We could really make a difference with 5,001 people or more. We really can. And so we're going to do that. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the steps that are theirs to take. Does that mean there's no doubt along the way? No. Doubt has a voice, but you stop feeding it. Great dream builders are not people who build dreams in the absence of doubt or fear or anxiety. They're dream builders because they keep moving forward in the presence of some fear or anxiety or doubt, but they stop feeding it. They stop feeding the doubt. And the way you feed doubt, anxiety, and worry is you give it your attention. And so you systematically, over time, remove your attention from the doubt and say, and if it all did work out, and if I knew it were going to all work out, what step would I take today? And you learn how to shift the frequency off the problem channel and onto the possibility channel. It takes usually support and structure, but you really can do that because the ideas that are your answers are not on the thinking where the problems reside. And of course there's problems. Of course there's difficulty. Of course your current circumstances are not going to tell you can do this. That's why they're your current circumstances. But there are ideas and answers that are yours and to be had for you as you learn to use your mind and your actions in harmony with the dream.
And they definitely are there. When you move towards your dream, there is that fear and doubt and the whole idea of removing your attention and knowing that it's going to be there, but thinking in the area of possibility. Can you talk more about the difference between conditioned thought and thinking in possibilities, Mary?
Mm-hmm. Cecily, you and I just spent some time together in Concord, Massachusetts, where
yes.
Thoreau, Emerson, Hawthorne, Margaret Fuller, these folks in the middle 1800s, long before we had the Internet or an understanding about how, you think about your Internet, which is such a great analogy for how the mind works. What's on your desktop, if you think about your laptop right now or the computer that sits on your desk, think about what's on the screen. That's like the conscious mind. It's what you're paying attention to. Your files are like what would be called your subconscious mind. Because everything that's ever happened to you, everything you've ever learned, everything that you've ever thought about or somebody said to you, everything's stored there. And if that's all you knew about yourself, you would have a very limited capacity to make access to your real potential. And then somebody comes along one day and says, look at this. And you go, what's that? And they say, it's the Internet. And you go, well, what is that? Oh, have you never surfed the Internet? Oh, let me show you how to get on the Internet. And then you discover there's this immense access of information and support. And you can, and the minute you get interested in something, the search engines, boom, go finding everything that's like what you're interested in. And you learn that Google can be way more useful to you if you learn what it means to ask a really good question. If you ask a crummy question, you're going to get crummy answers. I was with my sister last summer. My mother had passed away, and we were at the Oregon coast where there would be a gathering the following day to spread her ashes. It was Friday, and my sister, there was a new movie that had come out, and she said, let's go watch a movie. Well, there was no movie in the little town where we were staying on the Oregon coast, but about 10 miles away, I knew there was a movie theater. So the town we were going to was called Seaside. So I went to the Google box on my computer and wrote movie theaters in Seaside. Well, you know how many seasides there are in the world? I got Seaside, France, Seaside, Australia, Seaside everywhere, because I asked a crummy question. I didn't ask specifically. Movie theaters in Seaside, Oregon. So what Cecily's alluding to is that there are ways to ask questions where your mind can tap immediately. You're using the global internet. You're thinking all day long. Like I said earlier, you don't get a choice about whether you're going to create a life. It's not like, I think I'll build a dream and stop doing something else. You're building a life right now. What you're doing with your time, your energy, your creative thought or not, is creating thought waves. It's creating patterns. Those are moving right now, just like it's happening. The only difference is you either get to be awake enough to know I'm choosing the thoughts I think, and I can choose thoughts that are empowering instead of thoughts that are disempowering. So if you think about how the search engines work, if you're walking down the street and you are hungry, what do you notice? You notice everything there is to eat because you're tuned to the frequency of, I wonder what there is to eat. I'm hungry. If you get interested in red sports cars, what do you see? Red sports cars. Where were all those red sports cars? Well, they were there, but I didn't see them because I wasn't interested in them. Now, it works in a positive direction. It also works in a negative direction. If I get interested in problems, or I get interested in how many times I've been hurt, or who might hurt me next, boom, the search engines, the universe reads our intention by our attention. Let me say that one more time. The universe reads our intention by our attention. It does no good for me to tell the universe, I want this in my life, and then put all my attention, and that's why, see, fear, anxiety, and worry are negative prayer requests. They're backwards prayer requests. My energy is all about what could go wrong. Well, the universe thinks I want more of that. Whatever I'm putting my attention on, the universe reads that as what I want more of. That's why if I think red sports cars, I see all these red sports cars. It's an abundant universe. It'll show me all of it in the forms I'm interested in. Every one of us is a very, very powerful co-creator with this infinite presence. But whatever you will, you'll see it happening in your life. So when you're interested in how to move from condition-based thinking to creative thinking, here's how it goes. You start to notice the conversations you're in. Some of those conversations will be, well, I'd like to, but, if it weren't for the economy, I'd like to sell my house, but gosh, my husband and I sold our house in Simi Valley, California, during one of the worst economic downturns, in the presence of the LA Times day after day printing all these, missives about the horrible housing market and low prices and high foreclosures. And we started to talk that we bought a new house we were moving to, and we were discussing whether or not what we were going to do with the house that we had, and we started having a condition-based conversation, a conversation about the conditions we were facing, low housing prices. Houses in our neighborhood for sale for a long time keep dropping prices. What's the LA Times saying? What's everybody saying? And as we had this conversation, I noticed that my energy was feeling more and more contracted. And that is one of you. If you pay attention, if you're in a creative mode, you are going to feel expansive. And if you're in a conditioned mode, you're going to feel contracted. Instead of what could go right, you start talking about, oh my God, look at all these things. And I looked at him and I said, we are having the wrong conversation. We should just simply ask ourselves, what would we love? Would we love to lease this house and, generate income that way, or would we love to sell it and be free of all the demands of what might happen for this house? And the minute we ask the question, what would we love, that's why it's your prime question. It's like your compass for guiding your life. What would you love? It's money, time, your history, all those things didn't dictate who you could be, what you could do, what would you love. And ideas will start to come to you. So in a minute we asked, what would we love? Well, we knew what we would love, and that was to sell the house at a fair price to somebody who loved it the way we did. And we said, then that's what we're going to do. And it starts with a decision. So and we'll talk a little bit more about what you do after the decision, but to answer you, Cecily, how do you get off the problem channel is you start listening to the conversation you're in. And if you're having a conversation about the conditions and the power of those conditions, you know you're in the wrong conversation. Go back to, well, even in the presence of those conditions, yes, I see what the LA Times says. I have seen the houses for sale on our street, and I have known that, and I do know they are dropping prices. You don't deny the facts. You do deny the power of those facts. They are not supreme. There is something in you that's more than those conditions, and as you tap into that, that moreness will show you how.
I love that story, Mary, about you're selling your house. Because once you did make that shift over, you were able to sell your house very quickly and noticed that you were in that condition-based thinking and shifted over. And always think that, well, even Mary Morrissey can get stuck. but you know how to. So you were going to talk more about how you move forward from that and help you to bring your sort of make sure that you have all of the full steam ahead for your dream. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, I would say probably the most useful thing for our listener right now is for each one of us to imagine a dream. And no matter how great our life is right now, if it's a year from now, 2 years from now, and you really could be or do or have or give what you would really love to be or do or give or have, what would it be? Because the information I'm about to give you will be way more useful to you if you have an idea in mind versus hearing it as mere theory or trying to glean what it's offering by just intellectualizing it. Because inspiration without action, honestly, is merely entertainment. And you can be inspired on these calls with Cecily and Lori and feel good at the end of the call and say, you know what, I think I might do something with that. And nothing will change. You will just have considered some things, but nothing will really change in your life because the action is where the magic happens. And you're going to be doing something anyway. You're going to live a life anyway. And keep breathing another 365 days, you will have created another year of your life. So bring to mind yourself dynamically healthy, in relationships you love, and what are you doing with your time and talent? You could do anything you wanted to do. So Lori's traveling, taking groups here and there, helping women, taking the Ziploc that turned into suitcases full of giving items, different snacking items. She's dreaming herself, and what's the next expanded expression of that? Same thing for Cecily, same thing for you. Our pictures will be different of what we would love to be and do and have and give, but get your own pictures in mind right now. Now, the next step is to make a decision. Either you test that dream. Let's assume for a moment that your dream passes the test. And then you're at a real moment, because either you will keep that dream in the domain of what's called inspiration or aspiration. You get inspired when you think of the dream. And most, I promise you, most people without a support structure, that's why you want to keep coming back to this program. You want to keep coming back to Cecily and Lori. Most people don't build a support structure to help them across the great divide from the life they've known to the life they could live. So they get an idea and they entertain it and they say, you know, I think someday I'll do that, or I'll think about that a little longer. And they keep thinking about it, but they never do what's required to really change their life and create the life they would love to live. And you meet up with them a year later, 3 years later, and they're living pretty much the same life they lived. Might be slightly different color or shape, but in general, it's pretty much the same life because they didn't either know what to do, they didn't put the support structure in place, or they simply didn't take the steps they could have taken that would show them the steps that are the next ones that lead them along the way. You remember in The Wizard of Oz, follow the yellow brick road. You have to go to the edge of the light that you see and take that step. And it only happens if you make a decision. If you make a decision to live the life you're imagining, then you're going to do some things you weren't doing before. You're going to think some things you weren't thinking before. You're going to have some conversations that you're not in right now. If you make a decision, I am doing this. This is my life now. And everything that needs to be let go of is going to get let go of, and everything that needs to get brought in is going to get brought in. And I've made a decision, this is my life. It's not different than if perhaps you decided to go to college. You just started taking one step after another. You had no idea how you were going to learn all those things or master all those classes or all this, but you made a decision and you took the steps you could take. I'm going to move across the country. You made a decision and you took the steps that you could take. And it's the same thing with this dream. You get an idea of something you'd love to do and you start taking the steps you can take. And when you start taking the steps that you can take, the ones that you couldn't even know what they were, how you're going to do them, start to show up for you. And it's like, I'm going to sell my house. We're going to sell our house in a down market. We're going to sell our house. First we have the wrong conversation, then we start having a better conversation like, do we want to do this? We want to do this. All right, we make a decision. We're going to do this. And then we start acting as if. Once you make a decision, you're going to do it. Most people, when they make a decision they're going to go to college, they have no idea where all the money's going to come from. Very few people have the whole $80,000 tucked away or whatever. Cecily, I bet when you decided you were going to be a life mastery consultant, you weren't sure all the steps you were going to, how it was all going to work out. That you were going to be a teacher. No, you were going to be a teacher of this. But you made a decision anyway because you fell in love with the idea. And you let that you were in love with the idea be strong enough. I don't know how I'm going to do this. That's why I need help from a higher power. But I'm going to do this thing. And we fell in love with the idea of selling our house, even in a down market, to somebody who loved the house. We made a definition. We wrote a check to the universe in our minds. We're going to sell this house to somebody who loves the house the way we do at a fair price. And we went about acting as if that were so. And did doubt try to virus its way all through my system? Of course, many times. Not once in a while. But every time I said, no, we're selling this house. I had to speak to that doubt and put it in its place. So, and not entertain it. And only once in that whole process did I really entertain it. And I went out to dinner, Joe, my husband and I went out to dinner with some friends of mine who are colleagues, and I respect them very much and love them, and we're having dinner, and just in conversation they're telling us about their life, we're telling them about ours and how we're moving the following week, and she said, so what are you going to do with the house you've been in? And I said, we're selling the house. And she looked at me and raised her eyebrow and said, really? In this market? And when my friend who teaches what I teach, when in that moment, I collapsed inside of her doubt. I let that doubt get inside of me. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, all the water in the world cannot drown you unless it gets inside of you. And I let it get inside of me. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, if she can't even believe it. And then, oh my God, then my doubt had a heyday with me for about 30 minutes. I'm finishing up the dinner, and that's about 20 more minutes, and we're having a nice conversation, but I can feel that doubt. I mean, it's just been ready to pounce anyway, and I've been holding it at bay. Now it goes in, and it goes, and it's saying things to me like, you could lease that house for $3,000 a month, and if you put that house on the market, most of the houses in your neighborhood have been on the market for 6 months. That's $18,000 you're going to lose while you fool around with this selling a house idea. And so once the doubt throws up $18,000 to my conscious mind, I can actually feel the fear. I'm starting to feel some fear generating inside of me, like, oh my gosh, this could really be a big, and it's worming its way through me. But I've taken all kinds of programs, studied, worked with great mentors, and spent lots of time developing the internal horsepower to recognize what that doubt does and how it is a dream killer. And the minute I became aware enough to recognize what it was doing, I said back to it, you know what? I looked at my husband. I said, Joe, we're just about to when we're in the car. And I was just about to tell him my doubt. Now imagine, so I would be like giving him the contagious energy of my doubt, like, gosh, it might be $18,000 and all of that. And then I woke up to it and I went, you know what, Joe, here's the truth. We're just about to make an agreement with struggle, but here is the truth. It just takes one person, and what if it's easy? And he said, I'm down for that. And the day we were moving out of our house, the next day we were having professional cleaners come, and then we were going to get a realtor the following week. That day, we're emptying out our house, and Joe goes out to get the mail at the mailbox for the very last time, and the neighbor's out there, pushing her child by. It's a cul-de-sac neighborhood. She's pushing her child by in a stroller. And she goes, oh, we've loved having you here, and we're going to miss you. And he said, I know, we've loved this neighborhood. He said, where are you moving? He tells her, and she goes, so what are you going to do with this house? He says, we're selling this house. Would you know somebody who'd love to live in this great neighborhood? And she goes, well, actually, I do know. There's a woman at work, and da-da-da. And she had, gosh, they have 2 great kids, and she and her, I think and you have the best backyard in the whole area. And she said, they might like your house. He says, well, it's going on the market next week. When you see her, just let her know it's on the market. An hour later, knock, knock, knock at the door, and it's the woman and her husband and the 2 little kids, and they want to see our house. And you know what the house looks like when you're moving out. And I said, oh, come back next week. It'll be all pretty. She says, no, I can look past that. I'll let her in. I tour the house with her and her husband and her kids. And I could literally see her mentally moving in. She's going, oh, my piano could go here, and this could be a great playroom, and on and on and on. They came back the next day. We hadn't even had it professionally cleaned. They asked if they could see it one more time. They bought the house. We couldn't even get it on the market. Somebody who fell in love with the house. They bought it at a fair price. They felt really good about it. We felt really good about it. Now, you got to understand, it's not just luck. And it's not just, wasn't that a nice thing? Of course it was a nice thing. But just like the nice thing that Lori travels the world, just like the nice thing that Cecily teaches globally, principles and practices that change lives and build dreams, those things don't happen to you. They happen through you. Because you make an agreement, you make a decision, you make an agreement with that outcome. And notice the science of it. If I had said to Joe, oh my gosh, we could lose $18,000, oh my gosh, here's my doubt, he might have been strong enough to say to me, you know what, let's try. And I'd say, okay, well, let's at least try. Maybe we'll try for 60 days. Let's try to sell the house. We have moved off the channel. We're selling the house to somebody who loves it at a fair price. That person who has made a decision, I'm selling the house. I'm the one going to college. I'm the one moving across the country. I'm the woman who's taking people around the world. I'm the woman who's teaching programs and walking people through processes that help them change their lives positively. That woman who's doing the things she said she's going to do and is doing makes different decisions, thinks different thoughts, takes different actions than the woman who's going to try. The woman who's trying has different thoughts, makes different choices, creates different outcomes. So I was awake enough to say, Joe, it just takes one, and what if it's easy? And he said, I'm down for that. So did that mean doubt went away completely? No, but it meant I systematically, repeatedly quit entertaining it. And as soon as I would notice that I was entertaining the doubt, I would send it away and say, no, it just takes one, and what if it's easy? So he goes out to the mailbox. If he's the guy trying instead of the guy selling, when she says, what are you doing with this house, the guy who's trying, he doesn't say, we're selling the house. Do you know somebody who'd love to live in this great neighborhood? The guy who's trying to sell the house says, well, we want to sell it, so we're going to try for a couple of months and see if we can get a buyer. And she says, well, I've seen a lot of the houses for sale in the neighborhood. And they have a conversation about how tough it's going to be to sell the house. All the while, that gal knows somebody. But her mind will never think of the somebody she knows when he's coming from the struggle channel. And it's the same thing. You know it's true with your television, that whatever frequency you're tuned to, the pictures on your screen are the reflected reality of that frequency. You get tuned to CNN, you're going to see problems all day long. You get tuned to Discovery, you're going to see another whole world. Same television, different frequency.
Oh, I too would love that story, and I hope it's inspiring for so many people who potentially try to sell a house, but also who are moving forward and really being able to let go of agreement with struggle and act as if, and know that you have, everyone has the capability to make things happen through you. And that is terrific. Well, Mary, we've reached a point, and we could go on all day with you, and you have so much to offer, and I would love to keep this conversation going. But we do have some other things we want to talk to you about, and we're going to turn it over to Lori so she can help talk about how to get in touch with you and some other things that are going on for you. Lori?
All right. Well, Mary, wow, just thank you. I've heard some of this before, but it's just always just inspiring. And those very simple questions you asked at the beginning were the ones that I had heard, but never went within me. And so my dream had not come through me. And it was in that moment on July 13th of that dream that I answered it, and it did come through me. So again, I just heartfelt thanks. So how can people find out about you and what's going on and your amazing offering? So tell us about that right now, if you would.
Well, the best way is to go to my website, which is marymorrissey.com. So let's spell it, MaryMorrissey, 2 R's, 2 S's, E-Y, marymorrissey.com. And all kinds of things are right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of great things. And again, everybody, that's Mary Morrissey, all one word, MaryMorrissey.com. So thank you. I hope people will go there and check it out. And on behalf of Cecily and myself, we really would like to invite you to co-create with us in 3 specific ways. And that is, if you've been on this call and this is touching you today with this really content-rich information, please invite friends. They're going to thank you for this life-changing information. Second, if you'd like to become an Extreme Law of Attraction affiliate and perhaps earn some extra cash, you can go to our site, which is www.LOASummit, SUMMIT, all one word, LOASummit.com. And finally, again, today we have a special summer solstice greeting and offer, and that is that you can purchase the Extreme Upgrade Package right now for just $47 instead of $67. Cecily and I have never done this before, but we were led to do that, and you get the MP3s of 10 hours of these calls plus some amazing bonus gifts. And Mary's bonus gifts to us, thank you, Mary, so much, but it's her Dream Builder Toolkit to design your dreams. And this includes a business audio class and a Dream Builder Toolkit ebook. So run, do not walk to the site and check that out if that is speaking to you, and we hope it is. And so, Cecily, it's time to move into questions for Mary with our listeners.
Mary, was there something you wanted to announce also, anything upcoming that you wanted to let people know about?
Well, I'm always doing different things, and I think it'd just be great to have someone, if you go to my site and look under events or retreats. I'll be going to Big Sky, Montana for a 5-day retreat in early September, taking a group to Greece later in September. But I also do weekend events, and I speak all over the country, and it'd just be great if you're anywhere near sometime, come hang out on a Sunday or a Saturday, and let's see what can happen in a day of time together.
Great. Oh, yes. Always wonderful trips with Mary, too. You have lots of things to offer. So now this is the time to ask questions, and you have an opportunity to ask Mary Morrissey what's on your mind. So if you're on the phone, you can push *2 on your phone to raise your hand, and then I'll unmute you and identify you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. If you're on the webcast, you just have to write it in the little box on the corner there, and we will take a look at those questions too. All right. So the first person, the last 4 digits are 3509. Hello, what's your name and what's your question for Mary?
Hi, my name is Angela, and my question in regards to your story about selling your house, you had put out as far as you wanted a fair price. Did you have a price in mind, or did you let the universe determine the price?
Oh, no, absolutely. We had a price in mind. And if you think about it, if you go to the bank and you say to the bank, just give me whatever you think is right, you don't want that. You go to the bank with an idea in mind, because the universe looks for specifics. The same thing with your television. You have to tune to a specific frequency to get the outcome you want. So, of course, you wanted something that was specific. But remember, part of my equation, somebody who loves the house the way we love it, at a fair price. I wasn't seeking to take advantage of anyone, but I didn't want to drop my house over the tens of thousands of dollars that other people in the neighborhood were doing just to sell the house. We had a great house. We'd fixed the house up. It had granite countertops. It had French doors. It was a great house, and I wanted it sold at a price that we could feel good about and the buyer could feel good about. We set a price that we believed was right. They paid full price. They were happy. We were happy. The deal was done.
Thank you.
All right. Great question. So, next person. Last 4 digits, 5588. Hello, what's your name and what's your question for Mary?
Hi, this is Susie, and I so want to thank you, Lori, and Cecily for putting this on. And I guess I just want to thank Mary for just this amazing eye-opener, clarification, and validation that I am doing everything right now. That, you know, you go through valleys sometimes in your life, and you don't know why or where or how, and it's so black you can't even get over to the mountain to start climbing out. And so I have learned through all of this, Lori and Cecily, and specifically today, Mary, that I'm on the right track. And I just really wanted to thank you guys for absolutely everything. You've changed a life, and I want you to know that, because one of my goals and focus in life is my emotion is helping people, and you help me. So I also wanted to ask you, on the www.loasummit.com, when you said the $47, I know that you had been talking before that today you just said MP3, but I know that you talked about driving and learning, so that there were CDs involved as well. Is that correct? Are there CDs with that or no?
Yes, well, they're not CDs. No, it's just the downloads on the MP3s. But there are also bonus gifts from all of our guests also. So there's it's quite a package of things, and it is a bargain just for.
Well,
today.
I will be there. So thank you guys so much.
All right. Well,
You're
thank
welcome.
you, and you made our day to know that we've really made a difference for you. So thank you.
You have no idea. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thanks. All right, let me go over to the webcast and see. We have Colleen in Washington, D.C., and she said, Mary, what if you self-sabotage because deep down you don't feel worthy of living your dream? That's a common feeling, a lot of people.
It is. It is a very common feeling because we got programmed. You come into the world, and we got programmed with an externally based worthiness thermometer. We look outside ourselves to say, am I worthy? Am I worthy? Do you think I'm worthy? Does the college think I'm worthy? Do they? And it's backwards. Here's how the universe determines if you're worthy of your great dreams. Ask yourself this question, am I breathing? You didn't make yourself. You can't even breathe one breath by yourself. The universe created you. God created you. Spirit created you. Call it what you will. You can't even take one breath on your own. The universe is seeking to express itself by means of you living a life you love living. Of course you deserve. You're worthy. You're worthy by your birthright. It has nothing to do with your background, your education, your behavior, your family of origin. That's all a virus that got programmed into you. And it takes systematic repatterning. The one thing that people make a mistake in that completely kills and thwarts their dreams is they try to go it alone. They don't put themselves in a support structure like you're in today with Cecily and Lori, where you have support to keep building a higher version experience of yourself, a higher understanding about who you really are, a deeper conviction about what you're worth and who you belong to and what you're part of. So, of course, you deserve your dream, and the rest of it is just a virus.
Great answer. We have another very interesting question. This is Cheryl from Monroe, and she says, as a couple, do you dream separate dreams and then merge them, or should you work on a dream together? That's an interesting way. If a couple of two people working together, how would they do their dream?
Well, it's not an either-or question. Honestly, it's a both and. Of course, you don't take. You're not joined at the hip. He probably goes and does some things without you, and you can go do some things without him or her, whoever your partner is. But you have some dreams you share together, and you have dreams that are your dreams apart. So in a couple, of course, when I ask you about your core values, if your marriage or your couplehood is one of your core values, then you wouldn't pick a dream that would threaten the union, the marriage, the commitment. I'm not going to go join the Peace Corps right now, even though I love to do service in the world. And if I were a single woman in my 60s, I might decide to go do the Peace Corps. I might decide to spend a year traveling around the world. But I'm helping my husband finish raising a couple of kids. His wife died a decade ago, and longer than that, 15 years ago. And the kids are almost grown. I don't want to miss the last 2 years of the youngest child's life. Bridges, I love that boy. So, yes, I travel. And, yes, we're going to spend 3 weeks in Europe in the fall. And yes, we do leave for some time. But Bridges is one of my core values. So Joe and I dream all kinds of dreams of things we share together. And I dream my own work in the world. He dreams his own work in the world. He just wrote 2 books. That was his dream. Part of my dream is, of course, to support him in having the life he loves living. This is part of his dream, is to help me have a life I love living. So it's not an either-or question. It's a both and.
Great. And I hope that's very helpful for a lot of people who are in a couple relationship and want to make sure that those values are honored. Excellent. We have one last question. Let's go for this. All right. I'm on the phone, and the last 4 digits are 5000. Hello, what's your name, and what's your question for Mary?
Hello, my name is Maria, and wanted to thank everybody for this wonderful telesummit. My question is, in regards to my aspiration, one of them is to get involved in some humanitarian work and travel. What would be a good question to ask as to what direction to go? Because I'm not sure whether it's involving children or what cause I would really be expanding and growing and at the same time contributing.
Cecily?
Oh, Mary?
Oh, I think I heard a click.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
I'm sorry. I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I bumped, just standing here, I accidentally bumped my mute button. So I said, it's a great question. You want to help. You want to be part of something. You want to help kids. So start asking that question. So I want to explore 10 different programs, 10 different opportunities. Get on the Internet. Talk to individuals. Make contact with almost everybody who's doing something that you value, you find interest in. They have their contact information. Write them. How'd you get started? What do you know about this? And your first phase is in basically R&D. You're researching the possibilities and you're developing an idea that works for you. This is a great place to be. That make sense?
Yeah, the research is the first step, huh?
Yeah, explore. Explore what's out there. Explore what the possibilities are. And if there's any particulars that when you say you work with kids, like what would you really love to be doing?
Well, that was an example of an area that I'm not sure yet if it would involve children or adult women or a specific country. I love Latin American countries, Mexico. I don't know. That's my question. What would be a very simple question to ask in the universe? What would I love? What area would I love to be a humanitarian in?
Okay.
Right. So then you could Google great humanitarians. You could Google, what do humanitarians know and do? You could Google, how can I be a humanitarian in South America or Central America or Mexico? Start asking questions. Start with your internet, which is a great place to start. And then follow any time you get a sparkly feeling or like, oh, my God, that might be fun. Just dig deeper into that and let your interest take you down the path.
Yes, that sounds absolutely great. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you so much.
All right.
Everybody.
Thank you, Maria. Bye-bye. All right. Excellent. And there's still a few more, but we do need to stop here. Mary, I just wanted to give you an opportunity now to just sort of say some final words. What would you say to inspire our listeners to dream their dream?
Well, again, I want to remind you that a dream can't come true unless you dream that dream. When you begin to get a dream in mind, then you must take action, massive action, because the life you've lived is going to argue for its existence, and it has a gravitational pull to it. Many people get a great idea, they take one little step or maybe four, and then they retreat to the familiar. And not because they love the life they've been living, but because they don't have the structure and the support to keep going. That's why the Dream Builder Toolkit is there. That's why Cecily and Lori are doing the work they do in the world. It's why I do the work I do in the world, is to help provide structures of support so that you don't retreat to the familiar, that you really do take the steps, get the support, so it isn't just a great dream, it's a great life.
Wow.
Well, right. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for asking me.
Yes, well, we're wrapping up here, and so everyone listening, on behalf of Cecily and myself, again, we just thank you for being a special part of the Extreme Law of Attraction Telesummit. And a heartfelt thanks again to you, Mary, for really a most amazing hour of sharing your special wisdom with us. And I wanted to say that 3 years ago when we first connected and I claimed part one of my vision, which has manifested, the second part, which just came to me during this call, is that I claimed that I would be co-creating exciting projects with people like yourself. So I claimed that I was worthy enough to be and to work and to co-create. And that's happened today. So I just got the second part of that declaration of a dream. So again, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lori.
Yes. And so everyone, please join us tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Amethyst Wildfire. She is an energy mastery coach. Put your seatbelts on because she's taking us on a ride, and her title is Shift Your Energy and Magnetize Your Business. Not only is she an award-winning entrepreneur, but she comes with another perspective as an initiated shamanist, a naturally ordained crystal singing bowl sound therapist, award-winning, and a published author. I think what's special about Amethyst is that her business was chosen in 2010 as a movement to watch in the Be the Change Award ceremony hosted by the multimillionaire entrepreneur Suzanne Evans. So join us tomorrow for Amethyst. And again, everyone, we thank you so much. So goodbye, and remember, dream big.
Thank you, everyone. Blessings. Bye-bye now.